Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Get early access to all of our interviews, including the monthly Chichester chats with writer and comic book legend D.G. Chichester, new episodes of classic Capes and Lunatics shows, including The Quantum Zone, This, That, or the Third, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/CapesandLunatics. Hope to see you there.
This is Ron Mars. You are listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
In brightest day,
in blackest nights,
no evil shall escape my sight.
That those who worship evil's might
beware my power.
Green Lanterns light. Hello and welcome back to Sector 2814, the Green Lantern podcast. I am Phil. Joining me, as always, Master of the Cord is...
I am Will. Hey, everyone.
Listen to that. He's completely recharged. That's right, kids, because today we'll be covering Green Lantern Cord Recharge, the 5-issue miniseries. I think I said 6 last time, but yes, it is only 5 issues, so.
5 really good issues, too.
Yes. I don't know, I think it was all the Headspace, all those miniseries around Infinite Crisis, including the one we did last week, were all 6 issues. So.
6 issues, yeah. Yeah, I think Legion of Three Worlds was like 6 issues as well, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like they used to a miniseries used to be like 4 or 6 issues. Now, even currently, I know a lot of times Marvel, and I don't know if DC's does, but I know Marvel, a lot of their miniseries, they do 5 now. 5 seems to be the magic number.
I guess you can break it up into 5 acts instead of the traditional 3, but which is weird because 4 was kind of not right, but then 6 is ideal because you have 2 issues per act, right? But then 5, so I don't know. Maybe they just like larger page counts, so they can charge more for it. Like
they did a Genus Fell one not too long ago with him and Rick Jones are bonded again, but they promised we'd see more Genus Fell. So where is he?
Oh, not yet here,
not
right?
Yet, no.
Just like Quasar.
but it was written by Peter David again, so that was good. So,
cool.
Oh. Yeah, he'll probably hopefully he'll be cranking up more again, because I know he was having health problems, but
well, hopefully he's getting better.
Yeah, the last one he did a Joe Fixit miniseries set back during that time period, so it's very interesting to see. For once, the Kingpin gets physically manhandled.
You would hope that the Hulk could do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. I just find that amusing. All right, so well, again, behind the scenes, it's only been 2 days since we recorded the last episode, so yes, I haven't seen any Green Lantern news or did you read it?
Not yet.
Okay.
Got it though.
Okay. That Unstoppable Doom Patrol, yeah. I know. Oh man, I was gonna say, when's that second issue coming out already?
Probably what? A week or 2? 2 weeks, maybe?
I guess I can look it up. Well, I wish I had something in my pocket that would tell me when of these things will come out. Here we go. June 13th.
So, yeah, 2 weeks.
Yay.
Nice.
That's not quick enough.
Yeah, we need those to be weekly. Get on that, Jeremy Adams.
Oh, I'm sure if they asked him to and they paid him more, I'd be like, oh, sure, I'll do 2 months.
I got that. I got you. Now, there's no artist in the world that could keep up with that pace. So
I don't know. They try sometimes. Planet Earth quarantined. Well, there's Kilowog in an apron in the background.
That's something that I really liked about what we're going to talk about is seeing a lot of familiar, Green Lantern faces from, at this point, 10 years before, 11, 12, 20 years before, Salak, Brick.
I was going to say, Brick showed up.
We also got the character from the Mogo Doesn't Socialize, and so they made that specific reference because they had Bullfungus. They had Bullfungus in there, and then they also said, well, what do you know? Mogo wants to socialize, is what Guy Gardner said, or something like that.
Oh, yeah. I just love it. We're getting to a more kind of civilized guy, but it's like, oh yeah, well, as insubordinate as he is, Guy Gardner has some quality, valuable qualities.
Yes, he does. Indeed. There's lots of things I want to say about this series. So before we jump into it, you heard any Green Lantern news or anything? Me neither.
No. I mean, I guess. Oh, that's like the other day. Lilith was like, "Any other news on that show?" I was like, "No." I mean,
we've been waiting for news on that since 2019.
I know. And weren't they changing directions? Now it's not so Alan and Guy centric. Oh.
Yeah, now it's going to be Hal and John. Doing it's called Lanterns. And it's under the direct purview of James Gunn, I guess, who is now the master of the DCU. So,
just as long as it's not as dark as the Snyderverse.
Please, no.
On Max, not HBO Max. It's just Max now.
Max now. That's right.
Max.
Absolutely. It's just Max. To the max.
Coming soon to Bob. All right. So, anything else, or should we get? We actually have a good story tonight. Should we get to it?
Let's talk about these. This is good stuff.
Yes,
good stuff.
And I believe we have synopses for all these. So, yes. All right.
Oh, do you have our trailer running through the bottom?
Yeah, the crawl. Yes, I did set it up, and I just didn't have it. Because I think I might have missed it last time, but I just didn't hit the...
There we go.
There we go. Woo. All right, so this 5 issues starts Green Lantern Corps Recharge #1 from November 2005, The Gathering. Writer, Jeff Johns. Penciler, Patrick Gleason. Inker, Prentice Rollins and Christian Alamy. Colorist, Moose Bauman. Letterers, Phil Balsman, Pat Brousseau, and Travis Lanham. And editors, Peter Tomasi and Michael Siglain. Okay. Did you notice that this mistake where they kept trying to say Sector 1417 and it kept coming out either 1417 or 1471?
Yeah. And I'll have to say, was it Green Man's speech was very difficult to read because the font was...
tiny.
It was black. It was black, and it was a weird font. But then it was also his speech bubble was on a darker color, and it was just hard for my eyes to pick it up. But,
that was the one good thing about reading it on the app is I was able to zoom in.
Oh, gotcha.
In Space Sector 1417, and even if it doesn't say it, I'm going to say 1417. Tarkus Wynn, the newly appointed Lantern for the sector, heads to star 1417.196 on the outer limit of his sector. It's about to nova, and Wynn must evacuate the 4th planet before it does. Though he assumed that he had a few days, the star novas before his very eyes and immediately forms into a black hole. As Wynn struggles to keep himself from getting sucked in, a voice says, "We have him!" Moments later, Wynn's power ring issues a status report confirming his death and initiates a scan to find a replacement lantern. Oh no! Another black
fort. Another black hole.
Another black hole weapon.
Yeah. Whoop. Ah, crap! I just spilled my water. That's awesome. All right. I'll let you go ahead and read that, and I'll be back in about 30 seconds with some paper towels. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Nice.
On Earth, outside of Edwards Air Force Base, Captain Hal Highball Jordan is flying a fighter, performing tests. Suddenly, he finds Guy Gardner flying beside him. As Hal doesn't wear his ring when he flies, Guy forms a microphone to communicate with him, explaining that he got a message to head to Oa on orders of the Guardians. Hal had already been to Oa, and Kilowog informed him that he and John were the lanterns for Sector 2814. Guy flies off to meet up with Cal, who is also heading to Oa. At the JLA Watchtower, Cal is explaining to the Justice League that he is headed for Oa, and is asking John to take his place. Weren't we already here? Superman, Wonder Woman, and Jean wish him well, and John reminds Cal something Kilowog told them. Everyone is someone's alien.
Yep.
Yep. The touching moment is ruined when Batman notices that Guy has also come to offer his goodbyes. Specifically, he's mooning Batman.
Yep. Nice.
Batman, my favorite character. Batman, my favorite character.
That's like extra strong. It's like you're mooning someone on the moon.
Nice.
Much to Cal's chagrin, he quickly takes off and lectures Guy on his attitude. Guy blows it off, telling him that Cal will be grateful that he's with him. On Korugar, get ready, kids. Dr. Soranik Natu is performing a delicate neurosurgery when a green light fills the room. Angered that it's interfering with her operation, she reacts with horror when she realizes that it's a Green Lantern ring, which has selected her to join the Green Lantern Corps. Natu rejects the ring as the weapon of Sinestro the Wicked and Katmatui the Lost. But when her patient begins to destabilize, she uses the ring to save his life, to the horror of her colleagues. On Ron, we're back here again. Soldier Vath Sarn is ordered to break out and get reinforcements for his squad, under siege from a Thanagarian force, when the building they're in is destroyed by Thanagarian mortar fire. A power ring then appears and inducts him into the Corps. Sarn tries to use it to kill the attacking Thanagarians, but all it will do is destroy their weapons. The ring then takes him away to Oa. Elsewhere on Ron, a prison ship is carrying prisoners to execution. Isamot Kol, one of the prisoners, is telling a man convicted of rape that he killed his superior officer when he wanted to surrender to the Ronians. After his unit defeated the Ronians, his squad mates tried to brush off the murder as an accident, but Kol told the truth as honesty is part of his code. As the ship lands, Kol is the first to be executed by beheading, but a ring stops the axe, inducting him into the Corps. Kol uses the ring to free himself, disarm his jailers, and leaves, telling the rapist he's getting what he deserves. Arriving on Oa, Kyle and Guy find that the Corps recruitment drive is in overdrive, and 300 new Lanterns have arrived. A number of veterans have also returned their rings. And the Lanterns report to the Corps Hall, where Kilowog introduces himself and what they'll be doing. During a Q&A session, Soranik Natu demands to know how to leave the Corps. Salak, newly appointed keeper of the Book of Oa, tells her of 3 ways: resigning, the way of a failure; dying, the way of honor; or both, the way of a fool. Natu opts for the first one and takes off, saying that the Corps has done terrible things to Korugar. The veterans believe she's making a mistake, but Guy Gardner, of all people, sympathizes with her, saying he can understand her anger after everything Sinestro did, saying it was the same with Count Matui. Cal, however, says she isn't angry, but afraid. Getting back to business, Salak informs Guy that he'll be assisting Kilowog in training the new Lanterns. Guy angrily flies off to see the Guardians, breaking down the door. He tells the Guardians that teaching rookies isn't what he's meant for. The Guardians react calmly, informing the caveman that if he performs his duties well, he may receive a new position. Cal enters and tries a more diplomatic approach and is much better received by the Guardians. Not to mention the fact that he was both the torchbearer and responsible for their resurrection. Dismissing the Lanterns, the Guardians take stock of the affairs of the universe. The Ron Thanagarian War is spreading to other sectors, and more groups are becoming involved, including the Guardians' old enemies, the Scions. The Guardians are also track Natu's departure, but suddenly note that her signal has disappeared. Natu soon finds herself in a dark place, looking at Tarkus Wind's skeletal remains, repeating to herself that she is not afraid. Guy is preparing to leave Oa, but Kilowog stops him, saying that he needs his help, and the rookies need the best there is to help them train. Guy notices that Kilowog almost seems scared, and Kilowog admits that he is because the universe is about to change. The Ron Thanagarian War, a Kree-Skrull War by any other name.
It's still a Kree-Skrull War, yeah.
So I mean, unlike the 90s, I mean, our recruitment drive is in full overdrive here. 300 new Lanterns already?
Oh, yeah, and there's a great scene in that first issue where Kilowog and Guy are just kind of floating up in the clouds, and you see all these rings, have zoomed past them. I love that. That was a really beautiful art by Patrick Gleason and the rest of the team.
Yeah, and unlike the other story where I was like, oh, God, I know Kyle seems too comfortable with the core stuff. He did seem a little odd at first as they were flying in, just all the rings, all the lanterns, because, Kyle's not used to this.
Exactly. I mean, he was the only one for so long.
Mm-hmm. I do like that the Guardians are just like, oh, yeah, he was the torchbearer, and we're here because he helped resurrect us.
Exactly. Exactly. We only exist because he brought us back. Or it was all part of their grand plan, right?
Oh, we'll get that, and we'll get that last issue, but him and the caveman Gardner.
Yep. The caveman.
So yeah,
what do you think, man?
It was good. I remember liking this. I didn't remember the whole thing, but yeah, I remember why I liked this so much. And of course, the citizens of Korrigar are going to be hesitant about Green Lantern rings. I mean, basically, Korrigarian Hitler was the first one that they knew had a ring. So
exactly, and then Catman never, went back. So
yeah, and got killed for it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The Lost. She's really the only of all the lanterns that have been killed. Besides, Abin Sur, she's really the only one that's kind of stayed dead, right? I mean,
pretty much. I know. That's why I'm so surprised that they haven't pulled the trigger. I thought for sure New 52 was going to bring her back, but
yeah, it's weird. It's very weird.
Unless Philip Kennedy Johnson does something in his backup in the current Green Lantern, but because again, Jeffrey Thorne was like, "Oh, I'm gonna,
I'm gonna go find Catman.
I'm gonna find my wife," and yeah, nothing.
And I really feel like a lot of that story kind of got cut short or was truncated or whatever, from his run. There are certainly people that don't like it, but there's also and there were some good things I think that it pulled off. One of the good things I think it pulled off was immediately, well, at least apparently, immediately undone in the first issue of the latest series.
Yeah.
Because now Hal's ring, he's now formed his own ring. Like, dang it, I like the fact that he had a normal ring, but whatever.
Whatever. Again, we never got a full explanation of that unless it's just like Hal was holding on to a dead ring and, just charged it off that Manhunter armor.
Well, but he didn't have it on his hand, because we see it form on there. So he wasn't wearing, maybe it's a temporary thing and he's able to cobble one together from the Manhunter, maybe. I mean, I'm kind of hoping I really hope it's a normal ring, but,
Yeah. Either that, I don't know, either that or like, I get you probably can't do it if it's dead, but I was going to say unless we're pulling a quantum bands and it's just sitting there invisible or something.
I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the original solicitation said something about hot wiring a ring, so.
Oh, yeah.
Perhaps we'll see. I'm sure we will.
There's all kinds of rings floating around out there, it seems like half the time. All right. So anything else, or should we move on to the second one?
I think let's go to the second one.
All right. All right. Green Lantern Corps Recharge, number 2, December 2005. Assignments. Looks like the same team here. On Oa, the Guardians receive a message from Mogo, the planet-formed Green Lantern. He is requesting assistance as a Thanagarian fleet is entering his system on a resupply mission, with a Ronian fleet hot on its tails. Recognizing that Mogo is too important to lose, the Guardians decide to send only veteran Green Lanterns to assist. At the meeting hall, Kilowog and Salak give out the assignments. Guy, Cal, Stell, and Green Man are to go and reinforce Mogo. Trainees Vath Sarn and Isamot Kol of Sector 2626 are to head to an unstable star in Sector 1099 and direct all interstellar traffic from it. Isamot is not pleased, saying that he should go to Mogo and help the Green Lanterns with the fleets, and is outraged that he's partnered with a Ronian. Vath tries to smooth things over, but Isamot remains adamant in his distrust. Salak settles it for them. Continue questioning their orders, and they will be expelled from the Green Lantern Corps. Arriving in Mogo's system, the Lanterns begin disarming the ships of both fleets. However, it will take nearly half an hour to disarm at their current rate, so Cal decides that he and Guy should talk with the Ronian and Thanagarian admirals. Removing them from their ships, Guy places them in a bubble, saying that they can fight it out if they want, but temporarily exposes them to vacuum to remind them of their tenuous position. A short while later, the two fleets are withdrawing in separate directions. As the Lanterns prepare to leave, Mogo thanks them for their help and offers to let them land for a brief respite. Cal, however, hears a message over his ring, and the Lanterns head down to investigate. At Sector 1099.381, Vath tries to make small talk with Isamot, only to learn the Lizarchon is not talking to him. As a vessel arrives, Vath allows Isamot to talk to him. Isamot tells the ship, an Okaran hospital ship, that they are forbidden from entering the system by order of the Guardians. The ship fires at Isamot, and Vath tries to explain the situation. All of a sudden, the star novas. On Mogo, the other Lanterns tell Cal that they didn't hear any voices. As Green Man decides to take a swim, Cal hears the voice again and wanders into the woods. Finally, he sees a familiar face, a mental creation of Alex. They talk, with Cal explaining that she died because he got the ring, but Alex reminds him that if he didn't, many others would have died in her place. As Alex's image disappears, another forms above Cal, Soranik Natu, strung up, begging for help. And that annual, remember when him or Cal and Hal switch places? We'll never bring that up again. No, I met Alex. Yeah. At 1099.381, a singularity is formed in place of the star, which begins sucking in Isamot, Vath, and the ship. Isamot tries to keep the ship out of the gravity well, even ordering the ring to divert power from life support, only for the two lanterns to be pulled in. Before the ship is pulled in as well, Kilowog arrives and pulls it away from the gravity well. After assessing their situation, Kilowog orders his ring to scan for Vath and Isamot's life signs. The ring confirms they are still alive, but is unaware of where they were sent. Deciding to investigate, he heads into the black hole. On Mogo, Cal runs out of the forest, telling the other Lanterns what he saw. They now hear Soranik's request for help and leave Mogo's atmosphere to triangulate her position. Using their rings, Stell determines that she's in Sector 2828. Unfortunately, her exact location is in the Vega star system, which is forbidden territory for the Green Lantern Corps. Green Man and Stell suggest they return to Oa and consult the Guardians, while Cal and Guy decide to ignore the restriction order and go rescue Soranik. Meanwhile, Isamot Kol and Vath Sarn awaken in a dark room. As they use their rings to illuminate their surroundings, they discover a most unpleasant surprise. There are corpses all over the ground, the walls are covered in spiders. All right, thoughts.
Another good issue.
Yes. You know why? You know why this is so superior? It's 2 issues in, and I think we've had more story than we had in 6 issues of Ron Thanagarian War.
I think so. More character, more just, good stuff.
Yeah.
And we already get the conflict between, Isamot and the other guy. Vath, yeah. We already see the conflict of Natu, of Soranik. And then I'm just a little weirded out, why he saw Alex there.
Was it? I mean, does it have something to do with her Soranik's ring is like her subconscious is basically sending out signals, and
I don't know.
Is it just because it's going to Cal and what's going to come between the two of them? I don't know.
I just thought it was kind of weird, or was it a Mogo thing?
Maybe, but it's like, why wouldn't anyone else hear it? But maybe because Cal was the most open to it, or
yeah, I mean. We know he's destined for a White Lantern, so perhaps.
And a return of Ion in the not too distant future.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Well, and 2, I mean, we don't talk about it anymore, but he did tweak that ring.
That's true. Mm-hmm. He did tweak his. Well,
I wonder if the Guardians ever did anything with that, because it's like, yeah, he did. I think he was monkeying with the operating system there.
And also, I really like that headcanon I think that Dan brought up, is that, the reason that the ring started, being able to translate was that, the infrastructure on Oa was back up. The central power battery was back, and then that's why he was able to translate when Parallax was coming.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I did like when Guy was trying to he was basically force feeding someone some muddy water or something. Yes. The ring couldn't translate because blah 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 blah.
See, he still has an attitude here, but I think we're again. It's more than just 90s Guy Gardner, being a jerk for the sake of being a jerk. Yeah,
yeah.
And again, that's why the Green Lantern Corps worked, because all these other comic book franchises, they try to make up 20 different versions of a character, like a Spider-Man or a who, and just
Batman, my favorite character.
Yeah. But from day one, I mean, at least since Hal Jordan's first appearance, I mean, they've had it built in. It's like, yeah, you're gonna have thousands of lanterns, because that's the whole concept of Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah, and they're gonna do, and I like how this is the first this is where they first introduced the idea of 7,200 lanterns. Yes. So each sector gets a .1 and a .2, right?
Yep. Yeah, because Hal and John are already .1 and .2. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And each star is like .381 or something, 196.
Yeah. How many stars are in a sector? An infinite number.
I know. Can you imagine 2814 pi to 7 places.
Exactly. Yeah. 2814 dot 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 39. Oh, that's Earth. Yeah, awesome.
It rattles off this big number, and Guy Gardner's just like, shut up.
Give it a name. Let's just go there. Come on. We could have already been there by now.
Exactly.
But yeah, this was a good issue.
Oh, yeah.
I really like how, they take the Kilowog, Isamot, and Vath plot is going one way, and then Kyle and the Soranik and Guy and those guys are going another way. Mm-hmm. And then boom, we bring them all together in the coming issues. Plus we get the return of Stell and Brick, right? Mm-hmm. Which is really cool.
All right. We ready for 3?
You bet, man.
Huh. All right. Green Lantern Corps Recharge number 3, January 2006, Vega. This time we have 2. It's listing 2 Raiders, Jeff Johns and Dave Gibbons.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Wonder if Jeff Johns was getting busy.
Perhaps.
Guy Gardner and Kyle Rayner reach the end of their trip to the Vega system. Before entering, Guy asks if Cal is really willing to go into the system, saying that he could get kicked out of the Corps for this. Cal is ready and willing. However, he's concerned that it may be all for nothing, as Soranik Natu's last distress signal was some time ago. In a dark place, Isamot Kol and Vath Sarn are fighting it out with spiders. However, the spiders are all around them, and they're hopelessly outnumbered. Fortunately, the 2 rookies get backup in the form of Kilowog. Reaching the planet that Soranik is on, Cal and Guy discover that it's an organic waste processing station. They find Soranik Natu strung up between 2 poles. As Cal cuts her down, Guy downs one of the works, but his ring doesn't have any of the vegan languages stored within their database. Vegan. Cal is very concerned as he can't find a pulse on Soranik, and her ring is missing. Suddenly, green light springs from her mouth and eyes, and she begins coughing until she regurgitates her ring. Their presence has not gone unnoticed, however, and one of the workers moves off to tell a group of bounty hunters that 2 Green Lanterns are present. In the spider den, Kilowog, Isamot, and Vath are having no luck finding an exit, so they decide to make their own. Blasting their way out, they find themselves also in the Vega system, outside of the Spider Guild's nest. Kilowog decides that they need more information, so they go back to the nest to figure out what is going on. After she's caught her breath, Soranik explains that on her return trip to Korgar, she became interested in how her predecessor died, as death rites are sacred to Korgarians. Heading to Tarkus Wind's last known location, she was sucked into the black hole. Alone and in the dark, she swallowed her ring and ordered it to slow her bodily functions to the point that she would appear dead. Guy comments on the riskiness of what she did, but Soranik knew she would live. She's a doctor who saves lives, but notes that if she can't, she can honor their passing and uses her ring to build Tarkus Wynn a funeral pyre, cremating him. Cal tells Soranik that if she wants to honor Tarkus Wynn, she should keep the ring and join the Corps. Guy decides that Cal was right about her being more afraid than angry, and Soranik decides that she will join the Green Lantern Corps, using her ring to construct a uniform. As the three leave the planet, they are attacked by the bounty hunters. During the exchange, one of the hunters declares himself Bulfunga the Unrelenting, while Kyle recognizes another hunter, his old enemy, Fatality. She's back, kids.
She's back.
She also recognizes Rayner and becomes more interested in his head than the bounty. As the Lanterns try to evade their attackers, they receive a message from Kilowog over their rings directed to Isamot and Vath. They're able to zero in on his point of origin, the Spider Guild's nest. So that's weird. I mean, I know, like, pretty much all Lanterns are her enemies, but I don't know. It's a lot of, I think from this point forward, a lot of it seems like Fatality's more interested in killing Cal now than John.
Yeah, and I think that kind of goes a little bit away because of the Star Sapphire stuff, and she becomes way more interested in John. So I don't know. It's really kind of weird. I mean, I guess she hates Kyle because he brought back all the Lanterns. I mean, I don't.
Oh, maybe, yeah. Undoing all her work, yeah, that's true. Oh yeah, like we said, yes. Sector 1417 is spelled correctly in the captions, but called 1471 in speech balloons.
I do have a stupid question. So, John Jones and John Stewart were there when Xanshi exploded.
Yes.
Who else knows what happened? I mean, apparently the universe does, but how did the universe find out? It's not like anybody from Xanshi told them, right?
Oh, jeez. I mean, did those new gods gossip all over the place? I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know. It's like how did Fatality finds out from Kyle that it was John that was there.
Yeah. Right?
But how
because she knew it was a Green Lantern, but not John. I mean, was there enough ring energy residue or something, or?
And why would they go after a Green Lantern when we know Darkseid's the one that actually did it? I'm very annoyed at her motivation.
I don't know. You go after Darkseid. You ain't going after anyone else.
That's right. So she punishes Green Lanterns instead, who were trying to save and they failed. So I get it, Green Lanterns failed, but they're not the ones that actually, blew up the planet. That would have been, good old Darkseid. So I don't know. I just found that annoying.
Yeah. Well, plus she's nuts, so.
That's true. She is nuts.
And it is a technical term, kids.
Yes. Bananas. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
All right. Next one?
You bet.
All right. Green Lantern Corps Recharge number 4, February 2006. Hunted. And once again, Jeff Johns is the only writer listed, so.
Oh, cool.
Jumping here. All right. In the Spider Guild nest, Kilowog is contacted by Guy Gardner, who assures him that they'll be there soon and to sit tight. Kilowog explains that he's already doing just that. Outside the nest, Guy, Kyle Rayner, and Soranik Natu hurry toward the nest. As Soranik asks what the Spider Guild is, the bounty hunters pursuing the group give a moment to consider their options. Dag, Quad, and Burl decide that the bounties on the Green Lanterns are not high enough to risk the wrath of the Spider Guild, but Wolfunga denounces them as cowards, while Fatality's obsession with killing Rayner compels her to go. In the nest, the three Lanterns remain in the maintenance shafts as the spiders in there are just drones and the information will take some time to be sorted through. Meeting up with Kilowog, he explains that he was on a mission to rescue Vath Sarn and Isamot Kol when they were dumped out here. The two rookies went ahead to do a recon mission, but the shafts are too narrow for Kilowog to fit through. Suddenly, Bulfunga begins screaming for the Lanterns to come out. Guy realizes that they need to get with Vath and Isamot and get out, as it's only a matter of time before the spiders hear them. In the air vents, Isamot and Vath come across Central Command, where they observe 3 guild underlings overviewing a map of the galaxy, with the nest at the center. Vath realizes that the links connecting the stars to the nest are a subspace web. The underlings begin discussing their progress when the alarm goes off. Isamot and Vath decided that it's time to retreat. Kilowog then blows up a portion of this section above them, distracting the spiders from tracking them. Detecting Owen energy signatures, the underlings decide that the guild fathers will want to personally see to Oa. Vath and Isamot are fighting against the various spiders heading for them when they meet up with the rest of the lanterns. Isamot is less than pleased to be working with Soranik, seeing her as a deserter, but Kyle tells them to work together or they'll die. Suddenly, Fatality's blade slices across the wall, nicking Soranik as Kyle goes after her. Volfunga also arrives, and Kilowog recognizes him as the one who challenged Mogo years earlier. Kilowog throws Volfunga at Fatality, knocking her down, but the spiders have found them at this point. Worse, everyone but Soranik is low on power, and she still can't affect anything yellow. Kilowog orders her to form a force field and get them out of here. Some distance away, the Lanterns review some of footage of the Spider Guild's map. Soranik realizes that the Novas are being used to drain the suns of their energy and feed it directly to the nest. If only we had someone who can contain supernovas. Which contain...
I know who that is.
So if one of them can, at least the veterans should be able to do this.
One would think.
Which contains nutrients for the young spiders. As they review the map, they learn that Earth, Polaris, and Oa's suns are all targeted. Before they can make their next move, the rest of the bounty hunters arrive and attack. Fortunately, Green Man and Stell arrive and drive them off. Guy is surprised that they violated the ban on entering Vega, but Stell reveals that they're outside of the Vega system and have broken no rules. Suddenly, the rings begin transmitting a Code Zero. Oa is under attack. On Oa, the Spider Guild ships exit through the sun and begin an invasion. Salak informs the Guardians that there are only a small number of Green Lanterns on Oa, and most of them are trainees who still can't affect anything yellow. Salak promises that the Green Lantern Corps will fight the Spider Guild to the death if necessary, but Ganthet fears that it will come down to just that. Alright, thoughts?
Nice. This is a good issue. It brought both the plot lines together and up the ante because, now Oa's under attack. Yeah, this is a very well constructed series and very well done. Yes, and
I mean it's kind of creative how like Jeff Johns kind of brought the yellow weakness back, but it's like, oh yeah, you'll get over that once you've learned to master like fear and stuff. And
yeah, well, and that's something that that is the ongoing core theme of Green Lantern while Jeff Johns is writing this. It's about overcoming fear.
Yeah.
Different kinds of fear, but it's always about overcoming fear.
Yes. Seeing what else is in here. But yeah, no, just, of course, again, love Kilowog.
Yep. Kilowog is the man.
Again, we need another Green Lantern Corps book to go along with the regular Green Lantern series.
Yeah, that's something that, I don't understand. The universe is vast. The Corps could focus on, another Green Lantern that's not Kyle or Guy or John or somebody else, or Jessica or Simon or any of.
Or if you don't want to stick with the same person, do like 4 to 6 issue arcs. You can even bring in a different writer and artist every time and just focus on different lanterns every arc.
Exactly, and they don't even have to come back to Oa. They can be out in the universe and not even know a thing about Sector 2814 or,
yeah, that's the thing.
Any of the stuff.
7,200 lanterns. You could use any of the handful couple dozen we've seen over history, or you could create your own Green Lantern. We haven't seen all 7,200 Green Lanterns.
Exactly.
Especially after they get killed.
Again.
Yes. All right. So should we get to the last one?
Let's do it.
We can talk this thing out as a whole. All right. Because someone's favorite shows back up in the last issue.
Page 1. Woohoo!
I, of course, love Hal Jordan.
That's right.
All right. Green Lantern Corps Recharge number 5, March 2006. Stardeath. At the Spider Guild nest, the underlings observe the invasion of Oa, noting that this is the first time the Guild Fathers have left the nest to oversee an assault. On Oa, Salak, Brick, and Torquemada lead the Green Lanterns in their defense against the Guild. However, the rookies still haven't gotten over the yellow impurity. Fortunately, help soon arrives in the form of Hal Jordan and John Stewart.
Woohoo!
Meeting up with Salak, they see Guy Gardner's group exit transluminal travel inside Oa's atmosphere, far closer than allowed. Almost as if they quantum jumped in, huh?
That's right.
The three meet up with the group as Guy tells Kilowog to send a message over his ring for the Green Lanterns to gather around the central power battery. A move Salak deems unwise. Kilowog sends out the order only for his ring to finally drain, but the message was received. Once the Green Lanterns assemble at the battery, Guy orders them to recharge their rings. Reciting the oath, Guy explains what is going on. The Spider Guild is trying to collapse Oa's sun and absorb its energy back into the nest. So they need to stabilize the sun and destroy the nest, which is controlling the spiders here. Salak denounces Guy's actions as mutiny, but Cal, Hal, John, and Kilowog agree, along with the rest of the Corps. Salak reluctantly agrees to join in, but only for the Corps. As the Green Lanterns fire at the sun, the rookies believe that they cannot affect it as it's a yellow star, but the veterans urge them to accept their fears and overcome them. Worse, the spiders continue to attack, and the lanterns can only get them away from other lanterns with their hands as their rings are still channeling energy. The plan begins to work as the sun is fed back to the Spider Guild. Overloading it, the Spider Guild nest begins to suffer from the explosions, while the spider underlings feel their nest brothers' deaths. Finally, the Spider Guild nest in Vega explodes, leaving only instinct-controlled spider drones left. With the major threat passed, the Green Lanterns start with the task of eliminating the last of the Spider Guild. After the battle, the Green Lanterns have won, but not without cost. Hal and Kilowog praise Guy for his plan, while Salak informs Guy that the Guardians have promoted to Lantern 1. Informs Guy that the Guardians have promoted him to Lantern number 1 of the Green Lantern Honored Guard, a new section of the Corps which will be able to move about freely from sector to sector, assisting other Lanterns in need.
Nice.
Not inflicting Gardner on any one sector. All right.
Everyone, inflicting him on all sectors.
Exactly. However, Guy's actions have also bordered on mutiny, so the Guardians have revoked all Earth shore leave for 1 year. Cal tells Salak to remove his as well, saying he did the same as Guy and would do so again. A short distance away, Soranik Natu oversees a wounded lantern and tells him that he'll be fit for duty in 2 days. The rookie fears what will happen to Oa without a son, but Soranik, Isamot Kol, and Vath Sarn vow to rebuild. Yay!
Yay! Ends very well.
Yes.
Very well.
It's kind of story we've been missing for a while. I mean, Rebirth was good, and
But this is the core.
Yes.
And we got a little bit of that in Rebirth, with Kilowog and the four Earth, core members. But this was core. This was awesome.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
But yeah, really good story. Again, we're bringing back the core. Again, bringing it back to core a lot quicker than we did in the 90s.
Yeah, that took.
And we were
something issues.
and we weren't nowhere near 300.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the art on this was great. It's Patrick Gleason, who's going to be associated with the book for quite some time, I think. Doing the art. So yeah, it's a good way to relaunch the core, and then we get a Green Lantern core book. Not too long after this, right? Yeah.
I don't know if it's within a month or so, but yeah, the core book is coming pretty soon here.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder, they probably always had plans for it, but I wonder, the sales were, really good, so oh yeah, we got to get this thing rolling.
Yeah, I don't know. I assume so. By this point, I would assume that Jeff Johns had, Sinestro Corps kind of as a signpost, that he was shooting for, because, it was about a year. It's about a year out, I think, if not a little bit more.
Wait, what?
It's like Green Lantern. By now he's been on, Green Lantern for 6 months or so. Mm. So he probably has Sinestro Corps out there, we're going to hit this in about a year or so. So, start building plans. So that means, we need we need the Green Lantern Corps book, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, and sales on Green Lantern were good. So I imagine, a Green Lantern Corps book just made a lot of financial sense. Plus, I don't know, but this was extremely well done, and I think extremely well received at the time. So, it makes sense. Now, Johns didn't continue writing it because he passed it off to, and I cannot remember the writer.
He looked this up. It wasn't Dave Gibbons, was it?
No, I think he just helped out on the limited series. Peter Tomasi, maybe?
Maybe. I know Tomasi did do time, but I can't remember. That sounds right, but here, I'm looking it up on the app here. If I can spell. But that sounds right, because I know Tomasi was on there. Like I said, I just can't remember if he did it from the beginning. No. Green Lantern Corps. Oh, wait.
Free New 52, right?
Yeah, 2006. Oh, no. At least the first... Dave Gibbons... No, Dave Gibbons might have did some of the first one.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. Oh, maybe the first 6, maybe?
Maybe. Okay, cool.
And then had Keith Champagne or
I think he's does the art at some point.
Okay. Oh no, it says he wrote. It might have been like an arc, because it looks like he might have wrote like 3 issues, and then Dave Gibbons jumped back on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there's like a fill-in.
Cool. It's been a long time since I've read those, so I'm looking forward to reread.
Okay, it looks like maybe Dave Gibbons wrote, well, except for that fill-in arc, wrote like most of the first 17 issues, and then Tomasi jumps on in 18. So.
Oh, okay. Cool. Very cool.
Yep.
And those are all coming down the pipe for us, right?
That's right. Yep. all the wars, and there's a lot. Blackest Night. There's a lot of good stuff coming even before New 52, and like we get Red Lantern books and all kinds of good stuff.
That's right. I mean, Sinestro Corps is when things really get kicked up another level,
Mm-hmm. Oh, and of course,
and spoilers, Sinestro wins.
And of course, what comes after a Blackest Night? A Brightest Day.
That I don't think was received as well as Blackest Night.
No, I don't think.
I might be. That might be an understatement, but yeah, I don't think it was received as well as Blackest Night.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Oh, I forgot that Green Lantern Corps book went 63 issues. Mm-hmm. For some reason, I didn't think it made it that far, but.
Yeah, then it was rebooted with New 52, and that one went all 52 issues, right?
I think so. Yeah. Because the solo Green Lantern book that lasted like 60 some issues too before New 52, right?
Like 67 or something, I think.
That sounds about right. 66 or 67. Yeah.
So Green Lantern Corps is only about 4 months behind the numbering of Green Lantern.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of material to cover, Will, no problem. Because I mean, again, just between the regular Green Lantern series and Green Lantern Corps coming, I mean that's over 120 issues just between those 2 series right there.
We got lots of good stuff coming.
Yep.
And yep, absolutely.
But then, like we said, once we get New 52, it'll be Green Lanterns, Red Lanterns, New Guardians. Sinestro,
Larfleeze, Sinestro. Yeah, lots of good stuff.
Because I was like, what do we? I'm like, are we gonna go back and cover old ones if we run out? I'm like, I don't think we're gonna run out.
We're not gonna run out. No. We've got years worth of material.
Yeah. Like I said, by the end of this year, we're gonna get to like Blackest Night. So.
Yeah, and we haven't even made it to New 52 yet, and that didn't let alone DC Rebirth.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's the Grant Morrison series. And DC Rebirth has Green Lanterns and Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps, which both went 50-plus issues. So that's another 100 issues there.
Exactly. So, we'll be here for a while, kids.
Yeah.
We're not going anywhere. All right. So any other thoughts on this series, Will?
Very much enjoyed it.
Yes.
I think this is collected in the Jeff Johns omnibus because he wrote it.
Okay.
So you can get it there, and I think that's got trade versions of those omnibuses as well. Or you can get it in the original trade that it came out in back in 2005 or 2006. But definitely pick it up and read it. It's a really good story.
Oh, yeah.
With really good art.
And again, not Green Lantern, not even DC, but did you see, I mean, Mr. Comic Man, Mr. Old Man like myself, did you see, I guess Marvel reacquired the rights to ROM Space Knight and Micronauts?
I saw a little bit because there's going to be an omnibus for ROM, I think.
For both of them, yeah.
For both of them? Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Because I know that Micronauts was never my thing, but I know that a lot of people just absolutely love it, because of the Michael Golden artwork.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's probably one of those things I should check out one of these days. I just never got around to it.
Well, I'm excited. I've always meant to read the ROM stuff, but I never did. So yeah, this is. Cause I think Justin and I might cover some of those. He goes. They really dropped the ball if they don't put out a ROMnibus.
Bravo! Pass along my compliments on that.
Yes. And then, of course, the speculation begins from the internet, where it's like, okay, those are Hasbro properties. Does that mean Marvel's going to reacquire Transformers and G.I. Joe?
Wow, man, they're not awesome, but I love those early Transformers.
Oh yeah, the Marvel ones. Yes, I love those.
With number 3, which has never been reprinted because it has Spider-Man in it.
Yeah. Oh man, if Marvel gets them back, they can start reprinting that again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yes.
Yeah, it was going to be a 4-issue series. It says numbers 3 of 4, numbers 4 of 4, and then number 5. With Shockwave and Ratchet, I think, on the cover. But then when it ended with number 80, it says number 80 in a 4-issue limited series. It was like, oh, it's so awesome.
I remember them well. That was the first thing I ever collected was those Transformers. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Those are some good ones. I think I got rid of mine a long time ago for some stupid reason or another, but that's something I need to build back a run on. That's something to go for back issues on.
Oh, yeah, yes. I mean, some of mine aren't in the best condition, but yeah, I think, I have almost the whole series. I might be missing like 2 or 3 issues, but yeah.
Nice.
But I think IDW reprinted most of those like in collections. Again, probably except for number 3, but.
Yeah. Spider-Man, who suddenly did not exist in that universe. After he did.
No superheroes after.
No superheroes, yeah.
Well, they kind of created their own later on, but yeah, no Marvel heroes, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Giant robots rampaging across the country. No Avengers are showing up.
Not even the Defenders. I mean, what's going on here?
Yep. All right.
Very cool, man. Very cool.
Yes. All right. So, next time... I know Will can't wait. Yes, we're going to cover Infinite Crisis number 1 and Green Lantern 7 and 8, which I believe guest stars Oliver Queen. So,
cool.
Hal and Ollie back again.
Yeah, I think I'm okay with not revisiting that team up, anytime in the near future.
What, Hard Travel?
Because it's been done so many times at this point.
Everyone wants to capture that magic of what Hard Traveling Heroes, where it's just like, one, it was a certain writer who's no longer with us, Denny O'Neil, and 2, it was just, the timing was perfect, because had you done that story like 10 years later, it probably wouldn't have hit as well as it did. Nope.
I mean, it's very much of its time. I mean, if you're going to try to do something as impactful as that, it's going to be something different.
Yes.
That is relevant to this time and this place, where we are now.
You have to come up with the new gimmicks, kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, I mean, Hal and Ollie are all right, but I think I always preferred Hal and Barry.
Yeah,
because again, it's like with the Oliver Queen thing, you kind of have to make Hal Jordan the straight man, like the strict cop, and again, it's like, I thought he was supposed to be the Maverick, It works better with Barry because Barry is the
straight lace.
Yes,
he's the straight man.
The buttoned up. Yeah,
yeah. I think occasional team ups are fine, but I've always preferred Green Lantern to be outer space action. It's out in the sector doing the job, protecting people, right? Which is as good and groundbreaking as Hard Traveling Heroes was. It just. For the reason that you state that Hal became the straight man,
yeah,
and he was depowered, and it made him. Of course, can't throw everything at the feet of Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams, because at this point he was a truck driver, I think, or he was an insurance salesman.
Yes.
And then he becomes a truck driver during their run or something. I can't remember when that happens, but yeah, it wasn't exactly awesome before they took over, which was one of the reasons they got to do, whatever they wanted. They got to try new things. I mean, and that's, you look at that time and time again, creators are given, a lot of creative freedom on books that, sales were failing. And, we got Frank Miller on Daredevil.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it's the same with Walter Simonson on Thor, but, I kind of have a hunch that maybe that's the case. Now they don't really bring in new creators. They just cancel the book and relaunch it later, so that doesn't seem to happen like it did, in the 70s and the 80s, and maybe even the 90s,
And again, is it too more like they were willing to take more chances back then? I don't know if it's because like corporations own, DC and Marvel now. Are they not willing to take as many chances, or?
I think it has a lot to do with the direct market, because the direct market was still in its infancy, in the 70s. So they said, we got to keep a book going because we have a publishing thing. Yeah. So we're publishing. I don't feel like most comic companies don't behave like actual publishers. Not anymore. Because they have guaranteed sales in the direct market. If they don't guarantee, if those sales don't meet, they just don't sell it there anymore, whereas, and traditional publishing is a big mess right now too, but, they titles are returnable. So instead of, comics publishers seem to have zoned in on the direct market is what we're going to sell to. The direct market is such a small chunk. I mean, you look at Scholastic. You want to know who the biggest publisher of comics or biggest seller of comics is? It's not Diamond, it's Scholastic. I mean, they move millions and millions of units of comics that probably aren't available in the direct market. So
yeah, I mean, just the rest of the market. Do they make it so unattractive to buy comics? Because that's what me and Justin were talking about the other night. It's like, I used to be able to go down to the grocery store. There was a spinner rack. We used to have I used to have at least 2 newsstands around here. I even said one of the local malls, they had like a small tobacco shop, where you buy like tobacco and the pipes and stuff. Back in the day, they used to have like 2 spinner racks in the back of the store.
Comics, yeah.
Yeah, I was like 10, 11 years old. I'm like, no, I'm not coming in here to try to buy any tobacco. I want that. Iowa Comics, yeah.
I want the much more addictive stuff in the back.
Yes, exactly. Or did the market just price itself out of that, where all these stores were just like, yeah, I'm not going to pay this much for the same comic.
Comics, and I've talked about this with a publisher or two, or I've talked about this with a friend of mine who used to be a publisher. He's not a publisher now. But, comics should cost a lot more because they cost a lot to make. And I can certainly speak to that. Artists are expensive. Yeah. But, I think a mistake was made in when prices started to rise, they cut pages instead of letting the price go up for the same amount. So, the perceived value is lower because the price stayed low for so long.
Yeah.
Right. And, I don't know if that has something to do with it or not. It's, kind of one of my pet theories, but it's, you look at something like Time Magazine or Newsweek or any of those, they have gradually gotten more and more expensive, as the years have gone by. They're not $1 anymore. They're not, 75 cents or 50 cents or whatever. So, I don't know. I think that the direct market was a life raft for superhero comics.
Mm-hmm. But it became the whole thing. Instead of being a life raft to expand from, it became the whole world. And I don't know, I don't know what that means. I mean, we know how important comics and, the creation of comics creators are to pop culture as a whole. Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's, comics properties in every medium. There's the juggernaut that is the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know, it's strange in that so much money is being made, but not a lot of it seems to funnel back to the, the creators of the comics.
Well,
right?
yeah, that was my thing. I'm like, you know what? I wouldn't mind paying higher prices if it made it to the creators, but just from the creators I've talked to, it doesn't seem like, they're seeing a lot more money now.
Exactly. Yeah. So
that's why you see a lot of these guys doing like multiple books a month, or even doing ones at different, going different companies. And
yeah, and the other thing too is that they're freelancers.
Yeah,
they don't get health insurance, they don't get pensions, they don't get anything like that. So there's a lot of things wrong with the comics market in the United States. But we're also, I feel like, living through this golden age of indie comics right now too, because of Kickstarter. If you put the number of books on that are funded, comics that are funded via Kickstarter, and place that number against what DC or Marvel publishes, I think Kickstarter is the largest publisher of comics in this country. I mean, if not, it's really close, because a lot of indie creators specifically are kind of just eschewing the direct market, because, and that's to say that the direct market is bad. I don't want you to think that. It's just that from an individual creator standpoint, from my standpoint, as a creator, there is so much effort involved for so little reward from the direct market, because if maybe only the direct market is built for the big 3, the big 5 books, right?
Yeah.
Marvel, DC, Dark Horse. Very few of them make it past those publishers in Diamond previews. So it's, even to get listed in previews is a huge, there's a huge barrier there. And if you do that, then, what are you going to get? 300 copies from maybe 300 shops that actually go past those publishers? I mean, it's so much work for so little reward for most indie creators.
Yeah.
That we just don't bother with it. We go directly to our readership via Kickstarter. And, it's not that I don't like the direct market. It's just that the direct market is not built. It is fundamentally not built to support indie comics creators. So it's doing what it's built to do, which is, not focus on indie comics creators. It's built to focus on something else entirely.
Oh, the company's figured out a way to rig the system. No, get out of here.
And it's weird because, if you look back in the 80s, there was, this huge boom in black and white. There's the black and white bust too, because there's so many things being published. But, you had company after company, putting out stuff. You had, PC doing Star Slayer and Rocketeer, and then, Kamiko, and then you had, God, I can't even think of all the companies at this point that have come and gone, that were part of the direct market, because that's where they could sell comics at the time. But then the direct market got weird, and pretty much everybody but the big guys were kind of squeezed out, I feel like.
Yeah.
And we went totally off on a tangent there.
That's all right. All right, you good?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
All right, so yeah, kids, like I said, next week, Infinite Crisis #1 and Green Lanterns 7 and 8, guest starring Green Arrow. So
nice.
And then in 2 weeks we'll finish off Infinite Crisis, including that Ron Thanagar special. So, and then in 3 weeks we'll be back to the solo Green Lantern book.
Nice. And on our run up to Sinestro Corps War.
Yes. All right, kids. So yeah. And then in 1, 2, 3, and then in was it like 4 weeks? Yeah, we'll get that back to that. We'll start the Green Lantern Corps book, so the regular, All right, so yes, so send us all your thoughts. Email us CapesandLunatics@gmail.com or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And remember, you can find all things Capes and Lunatics, episodes, social media, merch, link to the Patreon. Please subscribe so you can hear a little freak out on Heroes Reborn. Find everything at tubespace.io/Capes and Lunatics Podcast Network. That's tubespace.io/Capes and Lunatics Podcast Network. All right, Mr. William Allred, you do have creator-owned books.
Yes, I do.
You do another podcast. You do it all. So tell people where they can find you and
You can find me at Walred. That's at WALLRED. That will get me at Gmail, and that will get me at Facebook, and that will get me at Twitter, and probably some other social media that I've forgotten that I've set up as well. If you would like to check out the creator-owned books that I write, you can check out Crossover Division at crossoverdivision.com. We just funded a hardcover last Friday. Was when the campaign ended. So we've got an oversized hardcover coming out in a few months once we get that printed, and then we'll be moving on to number 5. So the series is progressing. And again, you can check that out at crossoverdivision.com. You can also check out an older book I've done called Diary of Night at diaryofnight.com. And as Phil intimated earlier, he is not the only podcaster that I annoy on a weekly basis. Kevin Joseph, the writer of Tart, and I do a show called Explain Yourself, where we bring on Kickstarter comics creators and have them talk about their, currently running Kickstarter projects, to try to bring some more eyeballs to, indie comics on the Kickstarter platform, or pretty much any crowdfunding platform for that matter. So, definitely check that out. It's called Explain Yourself. And then finally, you're obviously here because you have great taste, and that means you also love Marvel's Quasar, as do we all. So if you want to find out more about Quasar, you can do that at the Quantum Zone, quantumzone.org.
I am God.
5 inches, maybe.
Seems like I'm getting a package every other day. And I, of course, love Hal Jordan.
I do.
All right, kids, thank you for joining us. And remember, in 1 week, Infinite Crisis starts, number 1, and Green Lanterns 7 and 8, which I believe are tie-in issues, so there's no escaping it.
Right. It's here, infinitely.
Remember, a young man punches a wall, kids.
And weird crap happens. Weird crap.
Lots of weird
happens.
Well, I believe it is. Yes, lots of weird crap. All right, kids, come back next time. And remember, better watch pulling down your pants in a vacuum. Good night.